Hello and welcome. I am so glad you're here. I'm Beth, a creator-based coach with CMH Coaching for Life. I'm here today to help you and those you love create a life you feel grounded and at home in. Think of a life where you feel peace, love for those around you, and in a flow with just enough challenge to keep you happy and creating something wonderful. Sounds like magic, but it's not. You can create that life every single day. You can have a life full of love, excitement, hope, and creation. Our mission at CMH Coaching is to flood the earth with light through compassion, mindfulness, and hope. And I'm going to ask a favor of you. If you like what you see and hear today, think of someone you know that would enjoy and benefit from this message. Our mission is to flood the world with compassion, mindfulness, and hope. Share this with them. But for now, this is time just for you. So settle into whatever you're doing and enjoy this time with the girls, where we create that one awesome, amazing, perfect life every one of us is seeking.
You gotta watch your thinking. Watch your thinking. Watch your thinking.
We have been having a wine fest. We're having a wine fest for the first week of Hope Week. Yes, we are having a wine fest. That's WHINEFEST. We're not drinking, or we are teetotalers, but we're having a wine fest because sometimes you just got to have a good wine fest, right?
Yeah.
Just been a rough week, or rough couple of weeks for you, huh, Jen?
Yeah. But I mean, yeah.
The worst is to use your Bahama money to go to a funeral. I'm sorry.
That's
That
okay.
is just sad.
That's okay.
Yeah. Is it cold there still, or have you guys started spring?
Oh, I think we've started spring in the sense that we've had some warm days, but the nights are so cold. Like today I was out pulling up brambles and it was in just a long sleeve t-shirt and a pullover. So probably 50s.
So it's getting there. It's warming up.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people up north are still sitting in snow and sleet and yucky, really cold, but that's why we made March be Hope Month, so that we can all enjoy March in all of its forms. I went out today and planted strawberries in my garden, so I have extra hope to bring to the meeting today. Strawberries and broccoli. Spent the morning, and broccoli is my all-time favorite foods. So that was really fun. Really good. So it is good. We just finished Grit and Grace. And I loved that last interview with Mandy. It was so good. Grit to last out the winter, and grace in those few spring-like days, right? They'll get us started with some hope. So what brings you hope? Planting strawberries brings me hope. We may get snow at the end of the week and I'll have to cover them, but it just makes me so hopeful to get out and plant something in my garden. What brings you hope?
The sun.
Yeah, a good sunny day.
A good sunny day really brings hope, but my experiences, I think, if I look back on my experiences of the hard times, what I understand of them not being forever, that they will change, there will be relief, or there will be a change, a shift.
Yeah, the fifth principle of creator-based coaching: change is a gift, right? The only constant is change. Yeah.
So that brings me hope. And spring is like, I love spring for that reason. Just hope. Yeah.
Hopeful. Yeah, the daffodils are all out. It's just so pretty. Yeah. Well, let's just talk a little bit about what hope is to begin with, and about why hope is important. And I just honestly can't imagine a or a world where we don't feel hope. But the definition of hope is an optimistic state of mind, which is all good and fine, and the expectation of a positive outcome. And then what that takes us back to expectations. How do you feel about that idea of having an expectation in that way?
As long as it's managed.
What do you mean? Elaborate.
Well, I mean, a lot of times people, I mean, like, or even myself, hope for a different outcome on something, like I'm going to hope and that this will change and be different. And if I'm too rigid in my outcome, then I get disappointed or I get sad, or like it's not as desired of an outcome. Does that make sense?
Right.
So it's like,
yeah,
I have to manage what that expectation is going to be. And that's why I said, I look back on my past experiences and know that it's not going to always be horrible. There'll be some shift, there'll be some change. Doesn't mean it's going to be completely gone, whatever I'm going through. It's just not going to be at the intensity or where it is as I'm going through it. Because
it's an optimistic.
Yeah.
It's optimistic, but it's real at the same time.
Because I was thinking about this. It's like, when do I ever use hope? It's usually when I'm in the pit of despair, or like I have something going on, something that's hard.
When things aren't looking so good.
Because that's the only time I ever look for hope. And I'm like, maybe that needs to change. Maybe hope needs to be applied all the time. I don't know.
Well, what would it be like to wake up like my 5-year-olds? I spent the weekend with a bunch of my grandkids. And it was just really fun to see all of the grandparents, both sides of the grandparents were there, and lots of cousins were there, which were all grandkids of mine. And what would it be like to wake up with that kind of hope every morning? Because they just pop up with, there's no dread, there's no despair, there's just excitement for a new day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everything is hopeful. There's just this hopeful outcome for them.
Yeah, how would that be?
We can create that. That's what we're going to be talking about all month long, is how to create that feeling for ourselves, that positive, optimistic state like little children have, where they wake up and are excited about jump out of bed and go see what's for breakfast. And let's just do this. It's just exciting. It's a new day. It's something great is going to happen today. I don't know what it will be, but something good is coming. Yeah, it's going to be a fun month talking about, because I've been pondering on why it's important. Why is hope so important? I mean, for me, I know the times when I haven't felt hopeful, I kind of settle into just don't want to get out of bed mode, right? But when I'm hopeful, go ahead.
I think for me, if I don't try and have that optimistic view, that hope, that knowing and understanding things will change, I could get into that rut, like you're saying, and it could even become a little bit of a depression. So we need it to help balance out those other feelings.
Yeah. And the fact that we can create it, that we're not a victim to the depression, and we're not a victim to the sadness or to whatever,
or the circumstances that you're going through.
Mm-hmm. Or the circumstances, exactly, is just that in itself is hopeful, to know that we can create those feelings, because hope is the bedrock of getting out of something negative. I mean, if you're hopeless, you're really not moving anywhere, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it really is the bedrock. You get down there to the bottom, and hope is the way back up again. It's a really foundational characteristic. This is American Psychological Association on hope. People who are hopeful have greater happiness. They have better academic achievement. Students that are hopeful, they have better life achievement. They are healthier. People that have hope. people that have an increased sense of well-being. I'm going to read this right. And this cracked me up. Okay, so right after increased sense of well-being is lowered risk of death. They have a lower risk of death to be
I wonder
hopeful.
how that works. I mean, like, do they have lower heart rates? They have lower cholesterol? I mean, it could all play into it, you know?
It would. Hope helps you be healthier, right? Because your endocrine system is more balanced, your immune system is more balanced, your body is at a calmer place.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would imagine your heart rate would be a little lower than when you were activated by something. And so you would just be healthier with that increased sense of well-being. Yeah. And this I found fascinating. When faced with a crisis, let's think about this. When you're faced with a crisis, and you're feeling hopeless, what would you do?
I would just sit down and wallow. Just wouldn't even move forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Self-pity.
I'm
right?
done,
Just a really
helpless.
good follow.
No
Yeah.
energy to move forward or try and figure it out or buck up, little camper or anything like that. Just wallow.
Right. Just wallow your own personal pity party. But like that bedrock of hope, that's what gets you acting, right? When faced with a crisis, hopeful people will act. That makes a difference in your lowered risk of death too. You're not going to just sit and wallow, right?
Yeah.
Let's see what else to say. People with hope make better choices about their health, hence the well-being. But, and this is the part I really wanted to talk about, hopeful does not equal cheerfulness or being a Pollyanna. Hopeful people tend to be quite pragmatic. So there's a difference between having hope and just being innately cheerful or Pollyanna-ish, because there's a reality with hope. It's grounded in something. Hope is grounded in power, in understanding that you have the power to make a change. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, I'm just thinking about like times in my life when maybe I have been that and haven't been that. But then I also think about my husband who is very pragmatic. And he's always like, oh, well, it'll be a new day tomorrow. Or this, this is going to pass. We don't have to, And I'm just like, how do you do this? How do you do this? Because sometimes I just look at him and go, I don't get it,
Right. Yeah. That pragmatism as opposed to drama and pity parties, that's based in hope that things just work out.
Yeah. But I never like pegged it with being pragmatic. I never but he's just very, oh, well, tomorrow's a different day. Mistakes are made. Move on.
Mistakes were made and it's okay. That's part of life, right? It's just what it is.
Yeah.
And so I wonder how many of us get going with hope means perfection. And if that's not a big lie, that hope is an acceptance. Remember when you taught us about expectations and then
Perceptions.
Go ahead. That again.
The expectations and perceptions. You just have to
tell us about that.
Well, one of my biggest lessons in life was I was complaining about something, and I had a friend that says you need to manage your expectations, and I never thought about that before. I was like, what? Manage my expectations? It's just supposed to be this. And she's like, no, it doesn't have to be that, and maybe it won't be that. And if you are so stuck on it being that, you're going to be disappointed or you can have some problems. And so I was like, oh my gosh, I do need to manage my expectations. But also how we perceive things goes into how we expect things to become or to be. So a lot of times we have to say, well, is my perception of this, does it need to change? Is it, something I need to see from a different angle to have a different viewpoint? I wonder if that is like how hope can play into it. If I can see this differently, it'll give me a different understanding and a different perception, so I can have a different expectation and outcome. Because I think a lot of times with me, when I try and apply hope, I want my outcome. I don't want
Yes.
an outcome.
Well, and it's a very narrow viewpoint. Yeah.
My outcome. Yeah. And so maybe what I need to do is realize that there can be many different my outcome can become many different things or many different outcomes. And just which one is best for me, or which one is going to be, and open to what it is, because that's how it is going to be. And maybe you could be pleasantly surprised.
That's how it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the hope is the expectation of a positive outcome. It's not an expectation of a specific outcome.
Just hope for the better.
Well, like you said about Jeremy, tomorrow's another day, that pragmatic response, just the understanding that things will be okay. They may be different from your optimal, what you really want, but they will be ultimately for our good. Yeah.
What is that saying, that everything will work out in the end? It may not be how you want it to be, but it's all going to work out in the end.
Yeah. And it does.
Yeah.
And it really does. Yeah. And so that for me was a real learning experience as well. The idea that hopeful people really are quite pragmatic, that it's that openness to expectation and to perceptions, and an acceptance, a real acceptance of what is.
Yeah. I like that, because you're talking about, and what came to my mind is I really think hopeful people are the people that can live in that it is what it is. Because I don't have any expectations on how this is, because if I have an expectation, then there's possibility for me to have disappointment or a different type of experience. So it is what it is, and I'm okay with that.
Because I know it's in my highest and best good to go with that flow, and that I will learn whatever it is I need to learn in this situation.
Yeah.
That acceptance then fosters hope.
And kind of thinking in my head, I'm like, why do I think that my hope, like outcome, if we were talking about outcome and hope, is meaning that the outcome is going to be good, and it's going to be happy, and it's going to be perfect. The outcome may be hard, but you can have hope that you're going to get through it to the end. And like you said before, learn something from it. It's for my greatest and highest good. And maybe going through something tough is for my greatest and highest good. But I can hope.
It is, and that's the positive outcome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And that understanding brings the hope that you need to move through. It's real different. I mean, when I first started looking at hope's not Pollyanna-ish, hope's not cheerful. Well, then what is it? How is it hopeful people tend to be quite pragmatic? It's because they go with it.
Yeah.
And they know that it works out the way it's supposed to.
And it's not their expectation. It's the creator's expectation, or it's just what's going to be what it is. And then, you can have you can take what you can from that. Yeah. That's interesting.
It's a really different way of looking at it for me. And I'm excited to be able to spend the month exploring hope and figuring out ways to create hope in our own lives. If you were going to tell somebody, given what we just talked about, what's one way that they could create hope today, what would you say?
Well, you know what I'm sitting here thinking? I don't understand hope. I need to study this. I'm just sitting here thinking, I don't get it. I need to study hope. I mean, so you're telling me to tell somebody to have hope. I'm like, I don't know if I can, Beth, because I don't know if I understand it right now,
Yeah. All right. Well, then good, because next week when we talk, you're going to have lots of things that you've learned, I'm sure.
Because a lot of
that in itself is hopeful. Don't you feel it?
Yeah. Like, oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Knowing that we have the control, that we are the creator of our life experience, knowing that we have the power to create that life experience, and that different isn't deficient, that you and Jeremy are different, Troy and I are different, JC and I are different, we're all different by design. All of those principles create hope in our lives. Now, you're going to have to go learn more about what hope actually is. And I'm excited to find out what you learn.
Yeah, because I'm sitting here thinking, and I was like, you know what? I think when I've had an experience, like a tough experience, and I'm in that experience, and I'm like, okay, I can do this because I now have tools. I've learned certain things. I'm different now. To me, that's hopeful, because I'm like, oh, look, I can show up differently. So, I mean, to me, that's a kind of a hopeful thing, hopeful way of being.
Knowing that you can choose.
Yeah. But I'm still like going, how, I don't think I ever really sat down and thought about it this way. So
it's kind of a magical concept, the concept of hope. Yeah. It's one of those things. I think that it's going to bring us some really amazing change over the course of the month.
You see my eyebrows? It's like they're like together going, huh? Trying to figure it out.
In the mind. That's right.
Yeah. Yeah, this is definitely.
I love it. Okay, well, you go study. I'll go study. On the 50-50 page, girls, please share with us what you think hope is. Clarify. We know that the principles of creator-based coaching that I just mentioned, they all create hope. So what's hope mean to you? And in the meantime, we're going to do mastermind tonight. We'll talk about it some more in mastermind for our mastermind group tonight at 7. We'll have coach and clear tomorrow. Clearing things pertaining to hope would be really good. Clean the windshield. I'm pretty sure that Jacine designated for book club, but look on the 50-50 page and see what she says about book club. She's in Hawaii this week. Talk about hope. It's a good place to be. Yes, yes. And then we'll meet back next Monday and we'll talk about hope some more. And why is it hopeful people live longer? Why is it hopeful people act? Why is it hopeful people tend to be quite pragmatic? We're going to learn it all this month. In, Jen? Okay.
Oh yeah.
All right. Till next week, when we learn more about hope and we talk more about hope, and do share whatever you know about hope. And that's our topic for the month. It's going to be great. For this week, remember, you are the creator of your life experience. You have within you light and truth, all the power you need to create that experience. You can rest on that pragmatically and in hope, because it's a real thing. And we'll talk about it again next week.
I can choose to be happy, choose to be free, moment by moment. It's all up to me, 'cause what I think about, I bring about. That's the way it is, and there is no doubt. Day by day, I pave the way with every little thought I think.
Hey, thanks for joining us today in A Creator-Based Life. I hope you felt that compassion, mindfulness, and hope you came seeking today. You can find more of it at cmhcoaching.com or on Linktree/CMHcoaching. Of course, any social media outlet, we're there too. Because you felt the benefit and light in this message, please invite those you care deeply about to join us. Help us to create a ripple effect across the globe of compassion, mindfulness, and hope. Then we can create a creator-based life together. Have a great week, y'all. We'll talk to you soon.
Moment by moment, it's all up to me, 'cause what I think